Wild Rose Casino and Hotel Jefferson is ready to rock. Not Quite Brothers brings the party to Wild Rose for a special performance on Friday, December 27th. Get your tickets for this special engagement now at the Iowa store or online at wildroseresorts.com. Not Quite Brothers, Friday, December 27th at Wild Rose Casino and Hotel Jefferson. You'd rather be here.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
What's up, guys? I don't know where Hassel is. Not even kidding. It's just me right now. I don't know if he got drunk after that loss last night. I don't know. I don't know where he is. So hopefully he joins me. If not, it's just going to be me sitting here and analyzing last night's game. Two Guys, overtime. We are presented by Wild Rose Casinos. We are commercial free today. We are always presented by our friends at Fareway Meat and Grocery in the Channel Seed Studios, but want to promote our friends at Wild Rose. Friday, December 27th, the Not Quite Brothers show is at 8 o'clock. Doors open at 7 o'clock. Tickets are available for purchase. Go to Wild Rose website, and very easy to find. One click. Iowa State wins the Cyhawk game last night in dramatic fashion. We will talk about it. I guess it might be just me and Van Winkle today.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I heard some rumors that Hassel was getting in some trouble with Cyclone Larry, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Wait a second. He just popped into the studio.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God. What is...
Hey, Chris. What the hell is... Why are you wearing sunglasses? Welcome to the show.
What a joke. I mean, how lucky were those shots? Seriously. I mean, from the fucking logo.
Yeah, I've never seen that in Carver Hawkeye. You're right. Nobody's ever hit a logo 3 there. How are you today, man? Doing okay? That curse didn't last very long. I mean, wasn't like the Bambino one like 100 years or like whatever it was. Like the Niang one only lasted 10.
You know, I knew I lived in the heads of every Cyclone fan, but I really didn't know that I lived in the head of a Cyclone great like George Niang.
At the end of the day, we all know it's a Cyclone state.
I mean, this clearly got to him. He was tweeting at me after the game.
Well, I mean, it is a popular show, you know. Tens of thousands of people are watching the show on a daily basis. Like, so, like, does it surprise you that Niang wants to watch? And the word got back to him.
I think he was really
personally offended by you.
I think he was really worried that this was going to be a real thing that was going to live on his shoulders for a long time, and it certainly looked like it would in the first half when Iowa actually played. And then they just, Iowa State gets lucky with the deep threes, and it wasn't just late in the game; it was early in the game too, just chucking them up.
Yeah.
They're going in. Everything's going in.
I mean, we've never seen Curtis Jones do that before. You're right.
And I thought the officiating was shitty. I mean, nobody got into the bonus in the first half. Nobody got to the line. I mean, when you're at home, you're supposed to get the whistle. Iowa didn't get the whistle.
I mean, you guys were in the double bonus before Iowa State was in the bonus in the second half. You guys were in the double bonus, and Iowa State had 5 fouls.
What really surprises me, though, is like you guys are celebrating like you just won the Super Bowl. You're the number 3 team in the country. You ranked higher than you've ever been ranked before. They showed the old pictures from the Wilt Chamberlain days, the last time you were ranked this high.
Oh, yeah. Like we control the Fox Sports feed.
Yeah, but
Come
no,
on.
the
what
way,
kind of a joke comment is that?
The way you're celebrating. I mean, come on. Iowa fans don't even like the Iowa basketball team. What's
like
that?
Hank said, walk in your trap, take over your trap.
Man, you were
Look at this.
You were so wrong about last night. You picked Iowa to win. You said no Iowa State fans were going to show up. Esteemed journalist Scott Docterman said he's never seen a takeover of Carver Hawkeye Arena like this.
And you know why that happened.
Docterman wrote
you know why that happened. It's the same reason that you guys were able to get a semblance of a crowd for the biggest home game in football history. Is I challenged Iowa State fans. Yeah. I put them on notice, and they had to show up, or else it would be an embarrassment to that program. To not go in there and buy those $4 tickets.
Honest, it was really cute how Iowa students actually showed up last night, honestly. I didn't know that they had that many students that went to basketball games. Multiple people told me they haven't seen that many students at an Iowa basketball game, and one guy told me a decade. I don't know if that's true or not. That seems aggressive, but it was really cute though that they showed up and they were like chanting and doing all their stuff, and then they left. I mean, they got out of there pretty quickly, but
that
was good to see that they could cross the bridge. You know,
that was the most students I've seen at an Iowa basketball game in, I mean, at least since the 2021 season, maybe longer. But I don't know. I mean, everything was going so fucking well. I felt so smart. I was going to be able to live on the Carver Kiss curse for another 2 years. I was going to be able, well, I mean, I still do live in the heads of everybody, but what the fuck, what happened?
Well, let's talk about it.
Curtis Jones happened.
I will say this, in all seriousness, we're having a little fun here, but Iowa's better than I think most people believe. Do you agree with me there still?
Yes, we've been saying this on the
we've been saying this since like July that we've been
thought
saying that this
Iowa
is a tournament team.
A tournament team, and going into yesterday, I saw, I don't know who it was, if it was 𝗙cie𝗶𝗶, somebody tweeted that it's even money right now for Iowa to make the NCAA tournament. It's 50-50. I would take that bet that Iowa makes the NCAA tournament. But my God, well, got a rebound. Jesus Christ.
I mean, Fran made a point after the game, and he was right. So Iowa State did adjust. They went on that run when they started playing small. Again, our guy Nate 𝗺cie, Northern Iowa transfer, comes in and makes all the difference in the world for Iowa State. John Walters, I was talking to him after the game, and he called 𝗺cie the Swiss Army knife, which I thought is a great nickname for him because he can do so many things. To me, what it felt like the whole game, it felt like Iowa State should have been down like 15 with the way Iowa started, right? And Iowa State starts 1 of 10 from 3. Iowa was like 9 of 12 at that time, and it was like a 5-point game.
Oh, they stayed in the game by getting second chance points.
Correct.
I mean,
and it was what Iowa was doing though. You had guys hitting shots that are 13. What's his name? Really nice. I think he's going to be a good
𝗀𝗋𝗄 played the game of his life.
I mean, if that guy can keep improving, right? But he's 3 of 3. He went into the game like a 29% 3-point shooter. Like Iowa.
But here's the thing, though. Iowa's shots were wide open. They were all in rhythm.
Their spacing was impeccable. They had a great game plan.
So it wasn't like Iowa was just out of their minds in that first half and just unconscious.
They are a good
Iowa State wasn't
team.
Playing. They were, and Iowa State wasn't playing very good defense at all. At all. I mean, that's some of the worst defense I've ever seen a TJ Otzelberger team play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
disagree.
The turning point in this game was with about 11 and a half minutes to go. Iowa had just made a 3 to make it a 9-point game. Crowd is on its feet. Keyshawn Gilbert drives into the paint, and they turn him over. and Iowa is about ready to have a run-out bucket to go up double digits, and then what happened? Somehow they get turned over by 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝗄𝗃, who rolls his ankle and then finds an open man. Boom, it's a 3. It's a 5-point swing, and from that point on, it was 62-53. It would have been 64-53 Iowa had they not turned that ball over on the break. They hit that 3, and that starts a 13-4 run where Iowa State ties the game, and Iowa never opens up more than a one-possession lead on the Cyclones the rest of the way.
And Iowa State's defense was awesome for the last 5 or 6 minutes of that game. Like, as bad as it was for 35 minutes, like, they were absolutely – 𝗀𝗏𝗋𝗄𝗃 willed them to win. I know Joshua Jefferson had the big stat line, 3 assists from a triple-double.
It was almost like 𝗀𝗋𝗄𝗃 was like, okay, if I don't do something here, this game is over. Because,
who had him going 3 of 3 from 3 in the second half to start that thing? Like, this is a guy who Travis Hines tweeted it was a good point by Travis in the first half. 𝗀𝗋𝗄𝗃 was like, going into the second half, I think 𝗀𝗋𝗄𝗃 was 4 of 20 from 3-point range on the season.
He rolled his ankle and looked like
I thought he was out. I thought
he hurt his ankle on that play.
That
the biggest play of the game.
From an Iowa State perspective, and for what it's worth, my opinions haven't really changed on Iowa. In fact, I think they may be better than I thought that they were. But Iowa State's just so freaking tough. Like, that's just their mentality. That is what they are bred to be in July. Like, it is, and they were not phased. Like, it just, they took every shot from Iowa for 30 minutes. And again, and then you just look at the scoreboard. It's like, 7-point game. And you're just a couple of stops away, making it a one possession, and boom, you jump in the lead. And it was, and I did feel it being in that arena. I'd be interested to see if any of our commenters felt the same way. God, that arena turned at about the 10-minute mark to go. Like,
that's when the play happened.
Yeah, that energy.
That was the play.
And I felt this before in the past at Jack Trice Stadium when and you just like, oh no. And it felt that way to me. Like, it just sucked the energy out of it. And then those Iowa State fans picked up and Iowa, that is a tough one to lose, though, because you felt like they played that was an A basketball game by them for 33 minutes.
Yeah, right around 30 minutes, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they play much better. Like, Fran made a good point. I thought Fran's point after the game was really good because he was asked, I think 𝗀𝗍, one of the guys asked him about the offensive rebounding for Iowa State, and it's right. And he was like, and Fran goes, well, we chose to play small, and when you go small, you're going to give up some of that. But they were wanting to stretch the floor with the Iowa State big guys. They were trying to neutralize that, and Iowa State had to make an adjustment. It wasn't working playing the Presidents together, and once they did that, man, the game kind of, in my opinion, the game shifted. I haven't watched the full thing back yet, but that was kind of what it looked like to me. But the thing is, like, if Iowa doesn't go small, I still don't know if it really impacts Iowa State's offensive rebound. And we knew this, Chris, going into this game, that those two guys would be an absolute load down low.
Yeah,
for the Hawkeyes to handle. So it played out, honestly, like the way we thought it would if Iowa was going to pull off the upset, where they're going to have to hit a ton of shots. And they did. It's just Iowa State just outlasted them, man. They just outlasted them, and they imposed their will on them for that last 7 or 8 minutes, and that was the difference.
One key thing changed from the first half to the second half. I remember last night looking at the box score at halftime and thinking, wow, Iowa State is only +1 on the boards. That's it? Against Iowa, a bad rebounding team, and Iowa State with all that size? Well, in the second half, Iowa State out-rebounded Iowa 29-18, +11 in the second half. And, I mean, I look, I know you go small, you want your three-point shooters out there, but Jesus Christ, you still got to put a body on somebody and get a goddamn rebound. How was the atmosphere there?
It was a fun atmosphere. It was fun, honestly. Like I really enjoyed. That was the best I've been in Carver in, God, a really long time. And it helped. I mean, there were a ton of Iowa State fans there. So, but they were really quiet. You know, they didn't have anything to cheer about for like 30 minutes. It was that behind like where the Iowa State bench would be.
Yeah.
And the like two sections that go up from there, that was 50% Iowa State fans, maybe more. Maybe 60% Iowa State. So they were very much in one area. But
I was interested to see what the final attendance count would be, and it was barely over 13,000.
Yeah.
So there were almost 2,000 unsold tickets for this game. Almost 2,000 of those. Mm-hmm. How many Iowa State fans do you think were there?
Couple thousand?
Yeah. I would say at the most, let's say 3,000.
Yeah,
okay?
2 to 3,000, somewhere in there.
Some people were trying to say it's 5,000. It wasn't 5,000.
No, it wasn't that much.
Let's give them 3,000, okay?
Yeah.
So that means, let's just say Tennessee comes into town as the number 3 team in the country to Carver on a Thursday night, nice early tip time. There would have only been 10,000 people there. I mean, that's bad. Now,
I don't even think there would have been that many, because I think a lot of Iowa fans will come out because it's the Cy-Hawk game.
That's bad. Now, we documented on the show yesterday that Iowa doesn't sell out the Cy-Hawk game at Carver. They just don't. They haven't done it in 15 plus years. Most years, though, it's more than that. It's at least 13,500. Most years it's around 14,000. The place holds 15,000 now. It used to hold 15,500. That is, even though that's the most students I've seen there in a long time, that's pretty telling to me that there were only 13,000 sold tickets for this game against the number 3 team in the country. Like years past, Iowa State might have been top 25. Nothing like this.
No, I made that point yesterday. This Iowa State team feels different. One of the young journalists over in eastern side of the state asked me if I thought this was Iowa State's best team that I've covered. And the Niang team with Morris and Kane, like that might have been able to beat this Iowa State team on a given night. But like over the course of it, yes. This team, like, to me, just feels different with the amount of different matchup options that Iowa State has with the bigs. Like, Iowa State has never had bigs, like, two guys like this that I've seen. Like, they are both. They can just body up anybody. And, yeah, it just feels different. But the crowd was fun. It was a rivalry game. You could
at least in the second half it was. I know
the people there
it doesn't always translate on TV, but the first half it seemed like, even though it should be juiced from the get-go, it seemed like Iowa fans only made noise when a ball went through the hoop. And there wasn't.
That's fair. That is fair.
The second half they finally stepped up, but it didn't to me. It did not feel like the atmosphere of a rivalry game, and the team is number 3 in the country. It wasn't there, and that speaks to the apathy of the Iowa men's basketball fan, unfortunately. And look, you came close, but no cigar. You came close against Michigan as a 9.5-point dog, and I do think this Iowa team makes the tournament. But how do you win these fans back? That's the question.
Well, losing games like that doesn't help.
No, it
right?
doesn't. No, it doesn't. Especially when you lose in a way that Iowa fans have seen happen over the years, where you can't get a stop, you can't get a rebound.
And they even at the last 4 minutes, like I said, Iowa State was really good on defense, and they got better. I've watched that sequence a lot. Like, they still had some good looks. Like, Sanford had a couple out on the left wing where he very easily.
Yeah, well, Sanford had a shot. I think it was when they were up 9 in the second half. He had a shot from the corner to put them up 12 and missed it. Sanford had a good post-game press conference that I know you recorded, you got for 𝗀𝗏𝗃, and I know Van Winks has some of that, but I thought he had some good stuff to say.
Yeah, let's see what Sanford had to say after the game right here.
That's one of the best teams in the country, if not the best right now, and we're right there with them for a long time, and props to them for the way they made plays. But we're right there. Probably should have beat Michigan on the road. We're right there with number 3 team in the country who took number 1 to the wire. So it just kind of speaks for itself. The way that they have energy the whole game. They got a bunch of guys that can play. They got shot makers. They got rebounders. They defend. They do all the little things, which I thought we did for most of the night as well, which made it such a great game. And they're going to win a lot of games. And we're going to win a lot of games. So
I don't disagree with anything he said. I do think Iowa's going to. We tried to warn our audience of this yesterday that we thought,
There were too many Iowa State fans that thought they were just going to roll in there and roll over Iowa.
Iowa is, in my opinion, better than what even the Iowa fans in our comments right now, because it's very predictable and common when your team loses. You don't want to give the other team credit. You just want to shit on your team. Fans do it all the time. I see it. Seen it for 20 years at 𝗀𝗏𝗃. They are better than the majority of the people in this state think. And I truly believe that. I mean, they really should have beaten Michigan. The problem with this team, though, and you can just see it again, and it's the same critique we've had of Fran McCaffrey forever, is when you need a stop, it's hard to have a lot of faith that Iowa's going to get it. You know what the key moment of that game really was, though, Chris? We didn't mention it. When Iowa was like 12 of 12 from the free throw line, they come back at the 4 and under.
Yep.
Freeman goes 0 for 2. Like, that was when it was like, oh, shit, Iowa State might do this.
And that's been a reoccurring theme this season for this team. Usually, you got a team full of shooters. You've got an offensive-minded team. Usually, your free throw shooting is good. And usually, Iowa's free throw shooting is really good. And it was up until that point. And just a couple clangs. And then Iowa State takes its first lead of the game. And that's the first time Iowa State has led in the second half at Carver since that KISS game in 2014.
Which is an incredible stat.
And
One lead change in the whole game.
They took the lead, and that was it. I mean, then the logo 3 makes it a 5-point game, and you just knew it was over.
The other point, I want to just make this on Iowa State. It's just why I think that they're just so different. Like, 𝗀𝗏𝗃 was not at his best last night. Like,
no.
This is a National Player of the Year candidate. Like, a legitimate top 5 dude right now.
I was sitting there looking 10 minutes to go. He has 3 points.
And you still able to score 89 and come from behind to win this. And to Keyshawn's credit, he did a lot of other things down the stretch to help them win that basketball game. But my point with Iowa State is he's not on. Okay, so who's going to step up? Well, Kurt did, right?
Yeah.
What did Kurt have, 24?
Mommy was a no-show. I mean, it didn't seem like he impacted the game
only played
at
20
all.
minutes. But 𝗀𝗏𝗃, the resurgence of Tamin 𝗀𝗃, I had people at halftime saying you may as well just bench him. He's not healthy. And these presidents, and now you've got 𝗀𝗄𝗃. Like, I don't think 𝗀𝗄𝗃's ever going to be a big scorer for Iowa State, but I could make an argument that he's one of the 4 most valuable guys on the team right now, 4 or 5, like with what he did against Marquette and what he did last night when they needed him against Iowa. Just from a matchup standpoint, it wasn't working with Mommy out there, and you had to do something different, and he goes out there and is an immediate difference maker in both of those games. And there's so many games I can think of in all these 𝗀𝗏𝗃 teams where it's just like, it's kind of like, well, if Gabe Kalsher's not hitting shots, we're screwed. If Robert Jones goes 2 of 8 from the free throw line, we're screwed. Like, you just don't have an option, and they have options. And that's what the really good teams have. Do you know that they are the number 3 team in the country in KenPom offense right now? This is an Iowa State program that was in the 150s. They were struggling to crack the top 100 a year ago. So it's just, I'm telling you, it's different. They're different. I don't know what it means for March, but this isn't like the same Otzelberger teams that we've seen the last 3 years.
No, it's more like the teams that he had at South Dakota State that we were kind of talking about a couple years ago when Iowa State had to win games defensively, and we knew that he wanted that to change because he wants it to look more like this. He had to do that out of necessity a couple of years ago. Now he's got what I think is as well-rounded of a team as you can get. And Sanford talked about it. That's a great team. And that's a great win. Like, in all seriousness, that was a championship win for Iowa State. Like, just the DNA that you need in that building when you're down 9, 10 minutes to go, you're playing like shit. To come back and win that is really telling of what this team has in it.
Yeah, and they never seemed really fazed by the moment either. Iowa got up 10 at one point, and it just...
That guy was up 13 at one point in the first half.
Point. They were, yeah. Because I remember thinking, man, if they can get it to single digits, I feel okay. Because, it just felt like Iowa, every time they would go on that run, then Iowa State would just lob it down to Jackson, and he would go untouched and just drop it in the hoop. Like, there's so many easy looks that kept Iowa State within striking distance. So, hey, we had 2 dramatic nights at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Like, props
That's
to the
all you can
Cyhawk
ask
games.
for.
Props to the Cyhawk
It's
games.
a split. We needed this in this rivalry on the men's side. We needed a close game like this again. Because, look, the last 6 games were decided by, I think all of them were 14 plus. Whether it was Iowa State winning in Hilton or Iowa winning at Carver, needed a real nail biter to get the juices flowing again. Now, I think it'd probably be better for the rivalry if Iowa would have won. Certainly would have been better for Iowa. But that's something that's been missing since pre-COVID. I mean, it's been a long time since we had a game like that. Van Winks has pulled up the past results. You have to go back, what was that, 2017 game in Ames that Iowa State won 84-78. And then before that, it was the 2015 game, the infamous Iowa's up by whatever the hell it was, 25 points at halftime, and Iowa State comes back to win.
Oh, yeah, that was the Jared Utoff game.
Yeah.
Matt Thomas's freshman year, I think.
Look, it was a fun game. I think Iowa State fans, one of the reasons for the jubilation at the end of the game was
how you did it.
Relief, I think.
Yeah, and it was just how you did it, though. I mean, to go on that big of a run in the last 3. I mean, the game was tied, and you almost won by double digits, right? Like, you're like, I thought Iowa State had a decent chance with 10 minutes to go just on how the thing was trending, but if you would have told me that they were going to cover the point spread, I wouldn't have ever believed that, right?
Yeah, what would the thing close at, 5.5?
5.5, they won by 9.
At one point,
and it was kind of cheap because Iowa had that dumb foul with 4 seconds to go, so they really kind of won by 7, but...
At one point, and I think at several points throughout the game, Iowa was a 2 or 3 point favorite to win this game. Oh, God. I made the mistake of looking at the comments.
Yeah.
Caleb says Hassel looks like a lesbian. You're adding insult to injury, Caleb. Jesus Christ, man. I am wearing a backwards cap.
I also want to throw this out there that as Steve Prohm used to call it, George Niang was invited to be on the show. He is currently at Cleveland Cavaliers shoot-around. He wanted to come on the program. He so badly wanted to come on the program.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
He was so pissed.
I live in his head.
He was trying to get me to move back the show. And I was like, we've already promoted it, George. Like, I go, you can send us a video, and I'll make sure everybody sees you making fun of Hassel.
He really came after me.
He was just sitting there on his phone watching that game.
I think he was.
I
think he was really scared. I think he was really legitimately scared that this was going to be a thing. That he was going to get blamed by Iowa State fans for this curse being real. He was.
What's sad is the amount of Iowa State fans who are going to take that comment seriously.
Take what comment seriously?
That you just made.
Oh, I'm serious. I do.
I'm
I think he was really scared.
He told us, because I made sure he saw that clip of you accusing him of, and he said that the curse is actually to keep Iowa out of the Sweet 16. That's what the KISS curse actually is, that they'll never get to a Sweet 16.
He was about 15 years late on putting that curse down, because that started in 98.
He he came to the he's a transplant. He hadn't been here that long. Hell, he wasn't even alive when Tom Davis was.
Cyclone State.
Yeah, I saw the celebration from the Cyclone locker room last night. It looked just like that. I mean, seriously, it was like you guys just reached the Final Four.
There is something about it, though, where, one, it is a rivalry. I hate it when people act like it's not. It drives me crazy. Like, it's a rivalry.
People like my dad.
Yeah, like Dom was telling us this morning. Didn't even watch a minute of it. My dad told me my dad was on one last night. Did you see him?
Oh my God, he was giffing it up.
Yeah, that dog dragging its ass all over the carpet, all that stuff. He texted me before the game. He said, "Hey, I'm glad you made it." I was letting him know I made it there, and he goes, "If you see Don Hassel, kick him in the nuts for me."
Yeah, my dad claims he didn't watch a second of the game. Claims he doesn't care about basketball anymore.
It is a weird thing going on over there, though, and I saw it firsthand last night because, like, the crowd was hot before the game, right? It was a great crowd, really good energy. They got a good thing going on there. I walked around the corridor when I got there, and they serve alcohol. There's a lot. It's like people get to the game early. Well, at least they did last night. I don't go to like random games, but like people are sitting around having beers in the court. It was a good vibe in Carver, but like. It's not a fair comparison because TJ's been there for 4 years. It's all new, done as win since he's been the coach. So this is not fair when a guy has been there as long as Fran. But they did this whole like thing on the big board, like the juice up the crowd before introductions. Mm-hmm. Every program does it. And it's like all these Iowa legends. It's like B.J. Armstrong, Roy Marble, Luka Garza is doing like the intro in his Minnesota Timberwolves gear. Mm-hmm. Tom Davis is on there, and then it like ends with Fran McCaffrey.
That's a mistake.
And like when they introduce him, it's just a weird vibe.
What do you mean it ends with him?
Like I wish we could see it. I wish we had it. It's hard to describe. It's like when they introduce Otts.
What a thud!
When they introduce Otts at Hilton, it's like part of the game day. Mm-hmm. Like he has like an intro song, and that's always been an Iowa State thing, though. Maybe it's just because Johnny Orr, Johnny Orr started that tradition, and every Iowa State coach has kind of done it.
Here's Franny.
But it was like they didn't even like cheer when Fran was introduced. I don't, because you asked me what do they do to fix. I don't know. Like it's so bizarre, and they go to tournaments. It's not like they suck. It's just a very bizarre feeling in that building right now. And an Iowa fan would have a much better way to explain it than me, I think. It's weird. And don't let anyone tell you that rivalry doesn't matter. That building was hot. Like, it was hot in there last night. Like, people, both sides were on one. Like, those Iowa fans, God, they wanted to win that game last night.
Had Iowa won that game, Iowa State could go on to win the national championship, and Iowa fans would still feel like they have the leg up because they would always have that. It's just like Iowa State football in 2002.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Well,
yeah.
We beat you head-to-head.
Yeah.
And it should have happened. Iowa should have won that game. But
I think the better team won.
Well, yes, the better team did win. Iowa State is a better team than Iowa. But Iowa was put itself in position where they should have won that game.
Everything we thought it had to do.
Yeah.
Going into the game to pull off the upset.
Yeah. They needed to hit threes and shoot well. That's really what the game was going to come down to. They end up hitting 11. They needed a few more. They go 11 for 28 from deep. And that's exactly what Iowa State did. You talk about, I mean, it was exact opposite first half to second half.
Yeah, and to their credit, I mean, Iowa State had guys do what Iowa did in the first. They just stepped up and hit shots. Like, I mean, 𝗀𝗙ecie was shooting bombs. Like, the confidence that guy had in that moment was. And
somebody had to
really
take the bull by the horn, and it was 𝗀𝗙ecie.
And
it was
I mean,
late in that
this
game.
Jefferson, right? This Jefferson was 3 assists away from a triple-double quietly.
Jesus. Wow.
Did you realize that? 3 assists
No.
away from a triple-double. 19, 10, and 7 was his line last night.
Wow.
Quietly. So they're a really bad matchup, especially for a bad defensive team. And frankly, that's probably what Iowa's going to be. I think that they could be better than they have been, but I don't see them being like a top 50 defensive team anytime soon. I do think that my glass half full on Iowa, though, is that this 𝗀𝗹𝗹, they have a couple of guys who I feel like will keep getting better. Like, it's still just December 13th.
Yeah, if Dembele keeps playing like that.
If Dembele and 𝗀𝗹𝗹 keep in a trajectory, and a positive one, I'm starting to think Harding is just kind of what he is. I don't know if he's going to evolve the way I kind of hoped he was going to.
He shows flashes. He wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was.
He's
very good last night.
No, but because the trio of Dix, Freeman, and Samford's pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. They just need 4 and 5 like somewhere who can bail them out, and you kind of saw that last night. And if that can stay consistent, Iowa's again.
The problem with Iowa
and tournament, but then it's like you look at them and it's like, are they really a threat to make the second weekend? And that's probably not the case.
You get cold for a stretch of time, and the other team is just going to go on a run.
Yeah, because you can't get a stop.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And Iowa missed 10 of their last 12 shots from the floor, and that was it.
What's weird, too, have you watched the last 4 minutes again?
No.
It wasn't dramatic at all.
Why the hell would I want to watch the last 4 minutes?
I've watched it 6 times. It wasn't dramatic at all. I was thinking, like, I'm going to get home and I'm going to watch it again.
No, because Iowa State took the lead and then boom, it was over.
Honestly, it was kind of boring. Wasn't boring to me. Hey, real quick, I gotta get something off my chest before we go. Overtime, we're presented by Wild Rose Casinos. Maddie, what's that band coming to town again? We want to give that the Not Quite
Black Hawk?
Brothers.
Not Quite Brothers. Coming to Jefferson, Wild Rose Casino.
All right.
Not Quite Brothers.
That's a great place to watch a concert. I've been to a couple there before, and they've got that DraftKings Sportsbook right next to it. It's fantastic. I went to a Clint Black concert right in that spot one time, and I'm not kidding. I about had to get a room at the hotel there because I had so much fun, if you know what I mean. So this Red Panda halftime act, it's amazing to me how this woman, according to many in the audience, is just completely free of criticism. She's a professional performer. If you haven't seen it before, for the last 40 years, she rides around on a unicycle and she throws bowls on top of her head. And it's very impressive. Like, all these idiots in my comments are like, oh, could you do that, Williams? No, I couldn't do that. But I think if I practice it for 60 years like she has, I'd probably be able to. She's never changed it up. What kind of a performer? It'd be like going to a stand-up comedian.
Wait, she just dropped a ball.
Oh.
It shattered. You missed it. You were scrolling.
Yeah, I don't need to watch it because I've seen it 250 times, and she's never changed.
Wait a second.
Act.
So she makes mistakes? I thought the whole
did
point of
last
this
night.
was that
Boo her.
it's perfect.
It's just
a Hall of
funny to
Famer.
me.
Well,
I don't. Great. Good
Williams,
for her.
I'm with
Hall
you
of
here
Famer
because
of what? Like throwing
here's
bowls
what-
on your head on a
Let's hear
unicycle?
it,
Great.
Let's hear it. Let's hear if anybody booed.
It's like people laughing.
Who took
If
that
you're going to
video,
do
Connor?
this, I think
I didn't know he was doing the video either. That's
Like-
what's funny.
you see it for the first time and, oh, okay, cool. But the thing is, I feel like she's at the halftime of every goddamn basketball game in the Midwest all winter long. Does she go anywhere else? Does she go out to Stanford? Does she go to San Diego State? Does she go to South Florida?
Well, I'm exhausted because like it's kind of become this thing where I've been anti-Red Panda for a while now. Okay, like this isn't new with me. Well, all the other media guys, like every time she appears, which to your point is like once a month, they all make a big deal out of, oh, Williams, your girl's here, all this, and like I'm over it. Well, anytime I'm at all critical of anything she does, there's this army of dorks on Twitter who like will get really like personal with me. It's like how like when you troll Iowa State fans, you know, like you'll get the really like mean-spirited, I hope you die, that type of stuff. It's unbelievable how sensitive these people are when it comes to this Red Panda. And her act, like, I'm sorry, it's tired. She's past her prime. She hasn't changed it up in 40 years. She's dropping bulls all the time now. She's constantly making mistakes.
I like your take, Williams. I agree.
Why is she free of criticism? If we did the exact same show every day, the exact same show, we never changed it, people wouldn't watch.
You're a one-trick pony, and you do the same trick over and over and over again for the same people. Like I'm watching a game any night of the week. You turn on a game, and it's like, well, look who it was at halftime, the great Red Panda. Oh, it's just so great, Chad. Seeing that Red Panda out there with those bulls never gets old. Give me a break. It does get old. It's been old for a long time.
Thank you. I had no idea where you were going to land on this, but I really like. It's all fun for me. I don't really care. But you know what pisses me off when the sheep out there when they're just so blinded by this Red Panda and they get so personal about it.
I was blinded by the panda, strung up like a douche into the middle of the night. Is that how the song goes?
Is that Gary Allen?
Yeah. I'm just sitting around here watching Red Panda throw bowls that break.
I hope we're not paying her more every year too. Is my thing. Like
Red Panda inflation.
Again, like Downs and I were tweeting about this last night. It's like mix in some fire. How about some knives? And then I would watch.
Yeah. How about you mix up the acts a little bit? Like get somebody else in there. It's the Iowa State game. You don't think everybody in attendance has seen this act?
That's the premier halftime act.
There's like 5 acts that just constantly come back. The Simon Says guy, the Red Panda, that group of girls from like North Dakota who do the gymnastics, and then the Flying Dog. Now I'll watch the Flying Dog. I'm good with the Flying Dog.
Used to be Quick Chain, but R.I.P.
Yeah, he's deceased.
Who's Quick Chain?
It's that couple, and they changed their clothes like 45 times in like 10 minutes.
They died?
I think the man did.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can't keep it going and change clothes herself?
I'm not sure if she wants to. I mean, it was her husband, so it's
too many
probably
scars there.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably. Anyways,
we went way overtime today.
Way overtime. I think people will like it. I'm glad that we were able. This was a good idea on your behalf. Good job.
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea. I thought we'd be talking about an Iowa win. What we can talk about, though, is Brock Purdy playing himself out of a contract.
Get out of here.
What happened last night? I haven't got to see any of it. I just saw what they want. I just saw the score.
Horrible.
Was he that bad?
Horrible. Terrible.
Did you hear what happened, too? On the
he threw a pick in the end zone that lost him the game.
So Dre Greenlaw came back. He tore his ACL. Do you remember this in the Super Bowl? He tore his ACL running onto the field, or his Achilles, sorry. It's Achilles tendon running onto the field in the Super Bowl. Spent months trying to come back, makes his way back, starts yesterday over Devondre Campbell, who had been kind of filling in his place. Well, Devondre Campbell quit on the 49ers in the third quarter, told the coaches he didn't want to go in the game.
Are you serious?
Yep. So that
kind
of tells you.
Jesus, with that quarterback, we know we're not getting in the end zone. Brock Purdy, 14 for 31.
Shut up.
142 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was sacked 3 times. Just a horrible pick in the end zone.
Yeah,
and what could have been the go-ahead score.
Deebo Samuel had a wide open catch and dropped it. Could have been a go-ahead touchdown.
You're right. That was terrible. And the fans were booing his ass.
Yeah, did you see what he's saying this week? I'm not getting the ball much.
Yeah. That's
dude. They are spending
make the
too much
catch.
money on
Terrible.
these old retread dudes.
Yes, you're right.
Like they got it. They can't keep doing it if they're actually gonna give Brock a real contract. They've got to cut some of these old guys.
I can't remember who it was on the HQ set. An NFL analyst said that the window has closed for San Francisco.
I mean,
I
they just
completely
locked
agree.
Ayuk
They're
up
too
for
old.
5 years, and
Yeah,
Sammy-
I don't know if they should have done that.
they need somebody at wide receiver. They're probably going to dump Debo at this.
Is
point. I
Ayuk
mean,
like
this
a?
year's
I don't know.
contract,
He's
but
good.
He's
not
not
a
one.
game
Kittle's
changer.
the
He's not a
Kittle's the
one.
only one that's performed for them this year. Really,
And
I mean,
he's getting up there in
McCaffrey's
age,
been
too.
hurt.
They just have all these old skill guys that it's all in that now. Like I agree with you on the window thing. If they go out and pay Brock, what's the number? I don't know.
It's
but
going to
like,
be between 45 and 50. That's just what the market rate for quarterbacks is now.
yeah. I
They're
mean,
gonna pay him,
that's
but I don't
okay.
know.
Like you can't pay him 60 though.
No.
or
What do you
whatever
So if Red
that
Panda
talk
makes
was.
$5K a game, what do you think she makes per year? Chris, the third guy named Chris says Bloom is reporting that Red Panda makes $5K a game.
And Bloom would know during his time with the Orlando Magic. He had inside sources with these locker room acts or these halftime acts.
So let's say she does 300 shows a year, $5,000. That would be $1.5 million.
Jesus Christ!
She's not doing 300 a year. She only takes 65 days off.
She just did a doubleheader
Well,
between
Bloom-
men's and women's basketball.
Or Williams, she works for what? 5 minutes?
It's not
a
it's not a
5-minute
bad
act.
deal. Do you remember the deal
She
like
could do multiple games a night.
like a couple years ago somebody stole her unicycle? Do you remember that?
What?
Yeah, it was like a big story. And all these dorky media members were like, "Oh." Cuz we're the ones that actually care about this cuz
What do you mean they stole her unicycle? Like from a
Somebody
stadium?
stole Matt, look that up. Somebody stole the Red Panda's unicycle. And this was a big deal. Like it was like news. I remember. If they're paying her $5,000 a show, I would tell her this. I would say, "You are welcome to come back. We will pay you $2,500 unless you do fire."
How about this? How about find somebody else? Find something new. This is low-hanging fruit here.
What happened in San Francisco?
Of course it did. The crime capital of the world, just
The
riddled
Warriors.
with crime.
This was
So what happened here?
I don't even
6
think
years
if
ago.
somebody steals something in San Francisco, I don't even think you can legally go after that person.
This was last month.
It's just theirs.
But that unicycle's worth $25,000.
Bullshit.
She used it for 30 years. It was stolen at the San Francisco airport. Who walks out with that?
Okay, imagine that's a tough life though, lugging that around. I got all these media members texting me that are upset about the show right now.
Let me get her on the CW pod, please.
This is unbelievable.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
I'd
Bury
talk
the
to her
old
about it. I'd
hatchet.
be like, "Ma'am, what? Can you please explain the choice to never change up your act?" Because I ask the hard questions. I'm not going in and lobbing softballs.
All right, let's get out of here.
Cyclone State.
I mean, you won in football and men's basketball.
And
but-
volleyball.
Volleyball. What else?
I don't know.
Cross
I just remember
country.
At the end of
I'm
the
sure
day,
cross-
we all know it's a cyclone state.
He's Chris Hassel. Thanks to Maddie Van Winkle. Extra show this week. Thanks to our friends at the Wild Rose Casinos. Overtime. We will be back on Monday. Murph and Andy today at 1.
All
Here on
right.
Iowa Everywhere.
Okay. Good.
Overthinking starting Monday?
Overthinking starting on Monday. Yeah, looking forward to that. You can go and see their test episode that's on YouTube exclusively. They did that yesterday. I'm going to watch it today. Looking forward to it. Later.